Morning, everyone. Welcome to our SchoolMoney webinar. My name is Veena and I am one of the trainers. Some of you may have already spoken to me during our training sessions already. My colleague Richard is also present and he'll be taking questions via the chat facility. And if there are any frequently asked questions during this webinar, we'll make a note of these and hopefully go through them later if we have time. Richard will try and answer as many questions as he can, but any that we don't cover today during this session, we will try and reply to those individuals after the session. Now, during this webinar today, I will cover some common support questions. So the agenda for today is to cover the following: how to manage MIS updates, how to create new dinner or club weeks via the register, but also the new way of creating several dinner or club weeks via the payments tab. If your dinner price has changed, how this can be updated, and if you are using cashless catering, how the prices can be updated for each item. If your club price has changed, how this can be updated. If you cannot see your new starters or certain children are missing from the registers, how they can be added. How to make sure your free school meal details are up to date. How to make refunds, and also how credit can be used for future dinners, clubs, or other payments. How to add an additional parent onto the system and send them a welcome message. How to send a password reset message, and also how to send an app message. And also setting up groups and how to keep them updated. So to start off with, I'm going to go through MIS updates. So if you are a Sims user and are locally hosted, you will need to run the Sims link v44, which can be found on your desktop. It should either be a red box or an icon of a cogwheel, and when you double click on this icon, it will bring any changes to your pupil information across to SchoolMoney. If you are unable to locate the Sims link on your desktop, or maybe you require the updated version, you will need to follow the following steps to run the link through Teachers to Parents. Now, even if you do not use Teachers to Parents, you will still need to log into Teachers to Parents using your SchoolMoney credentials to install the link. So once you're logged into Teachers to Parents, you need to choose the text and email service. And then we click on the admin icon in the top right. Okay, we then need to click on the Setup Sims tab. And then we choose the Sims link v44 link on the left-hand side. Now, when prompted, you just need to press run or install, and then it will ask you for your credentials. And this is when you type in your Teachers to Parents or SchoolMoney username and password, because they are exactly the same. And then you press run. And then it will ask you for your Sims password, and then you press run again. And then once the import has been completed, you will see a prompt open up in a browser which will read, click here to complete your update. And once you've done that, your data should be updated in SchoolMoney. So if you just refresh and have a look in SchoolMoney, it should have updated. If you are a centrally hosted school, then you will also find the T2P v12 link icon on your desktop. And you need to double click it to open it, and it will open up in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Once you've done that, you need to log into Sims and then click on Reports and then Run Reports. You open up the Focus folder and then Students, and then you double click on the report, which should be A_T2P_Central V11. And then after waiting for a few minutes, you will get a message which will say a report has been created. You click OK, and then again, another message will open up in your browser, which again will read, click here to complete your update. For any other MIS, if your school has Wand already set up, you will need to run the Wand link to update your information. Again, you need to do this via Teachers to Parents. So again, you'll log into Teachers to Parents, click on the text and email service, and then admin again in the top right. But this time, you're going to click on the Wand tab. Your Wand ID should already be visible on your screen. Please do not make any changes to this information. All you need to do is click on Import Student Details here in the bottom right-hand corner, and then you will get a message to tell you that the import has been completed, and then that will update your information into SchoolMoney. Now, if you are logged into Teachers to Parents, you can just click on this icon over here, which will take you into SchoolMoney. If you have been set up with Group Call Exporter on demand, then you don't need to take any action. The XOD link automatically runs overnight to keep your SchoolMoney data up to date with your information in your MIS system. If you do need to run a manual update, you can do this in SchoolMoney by going to the Admin tab, scrolling down to the Exporter icon, and then once in there, on the left-hand side, you'll see a Sync Now link on the left-hand side. If you do not have the SIMS link, WAND, XOD, or maybe you do not have an MIS system, then you will need to send us an updated CSV file. This will need to be done at least a few weeks before you start the new academic year or term. The CSV will need to hold the following information in this given order. We need the year group, admission number or UPN, forename, surname, mobile number, priority, which must always be 1, email address, form group, and gender. Once completed, please send the CSV to our support team by submitting a support request at the EduSpot website. So it's www.eduspot.co.uk/support. And please make sure it is formatted correctly and only one contact is added per child. If you do need any additional support when updating your MIS, please contact our support team. And also please note, any new starters will need to be added to any payments already set up. They are not automatically included once the import is done, but I will cover this a little later. So I'm now going to show you how to create a new dinner or club week via the register. So firstly, we're going to select the dinner register tab. Then from the first drop down over here where it's got school dinners, you're going to choose the correct dinner group. And obviously, if you have got more than one, you'll see in the drop-down list. You then need to change the date if you are obviously looking to set up a week in the future. So if I choose the 8th, and then you get this alert. If you are setting up a week in the future, we just press OK. You may also want to filter by your class or your year group, or we can just simply filter to all. And press OK again. And then using the day drop downs, you can block out any days that are unavailable by marking it as a holiday, inset day, or school trip. Once you're happy, we can click Save in the bottom right-hand corner and press OK, and this register is now available. Once you have set up all the relevant weeks, you can then go into the Payments tab to make the weeks live to parents. The same process applies when creating a club week via the register. So again, we go to the club register. We click on the club depending on which one you want to create. So this is your drop down where you can go between the different registers. And then again, we can change the date to a week in the future depending on which week you'd like to create. Again, press OK when the alert comes up. Set your filter. Block out any days that are unavailable. And then again, it's just Save in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so that's how we do it through the register. I'm now going to show you a new way how to do it through the Payments tab if you want to create multiple weeks for dinners or clubs. Okay, so all we need to do is click on Add in the bottom right-hand corner on the Payments tab. Then you can choose Dinner Money or Club Extended Services. I'm going to go for Dinner Money as your payment type, and then it's Create Payment. We can choose the dinner register that we'd like to create the weeks for from the first drop down. And then we start by doing the start and end date for the weeks that we'd like to create. So if I go for the 15th until the 26th, press OK, and then save. And on our payment screen now, we'll see the weeks that we've created. Okay. You can do the same thing for Club Extended Services. So again, it's just add in the bottom right-hand corner, select Club Extended Services, create payment. Again, set the date, the start and end date. Press OK, and then it's save. Okay, and then we should be able to see all the weeks that we've created. Like before, you may still want to go to the dinner register or club register if you need to block out any days before making them online to your parents. Okay. Now, if your dinner price has changed, firstly, you'll need to make sure you have created the dinner week. And then to change the price, we go into admin. We scroll down to manage dinner payments. We select the relevant week that we'd like to change the cost for. And then we click update amounts in the bottom left-hand corner. We change the amount per child, which will then automatically update the amount per week. And then we just press save. Again, if you have created several weeks in advance, you will need to repeat the same steps for all the weeks that you've created. If you are a cashless catering school, then you must also follow the same step and obviously update the price in this section, but you will also need to update the prices for your individual menu items too. And again, that's done in the admin section. So if I go back and click on the back button, but this time we go into dinner items and you'll see all your menu options. You double click on the item that you'd like to change the cost for, change the cost, and then save. And again, you would do that for each item that you'd like to change the cost for. Now, you may also want to update your dinner top-up amount. And again, this can be done via admin. If I scroll up to parent options and default dinner top-up amount, we just change it over here to the new amount that we'd like to show our parents and press save. If your club price has changed, again, make sure you have created the club week in advance. And then we go to the payments tab and we double click on the club that we'd like to change the cost for. So if I go into the after school club, select configure durations. We can add in more durations if we want to. And if we need to change the price, we just change it in the box to whatever price you want to, and then save. If you have set up multiple weeks for this club, please remember to go into each week and change the prices, as it will not automatically be updated. So once you've saved it in the configured durations box, also save it in the bottom right and then repeat the steps for every single week that you've already created. If you cannot see your new starters or certain pupils are missing from your registers, we can add them via the Register Manager option in the admin section. So if I go to admin, what I'd probably suggest you do first of all is make sure that your new starters are in the admin section, in the student section. So if I go to admin and students, have a look in this section first of all to see that you can see them. If you cannot see them, they may not have imported across. So you'll then need to follow the MIS update that I went through with you earlier. But if you can see them in here, then they need to be added into your payments. And that's done through admin, register manager. So what we need to do first of all is select the register group that we'd like to add them into, and you'll see your dinners on here and your clubs. So if I go for school dinners, we'll see all the weeks that have been created. And if I select none, and then only select the ones that I want to add them into, and then click on Manage Register Memberships. Now you can filter by the student, by the year group, or by the form, however you want to, depending on who you want to add into your actual registers. but I'm just going to add a couple of people in. So I'm going to add in Dave Smith and Jacob Armstrong, and then click on Manage Register Memberships. Then you'll come across this screen. Now you can either click on the round circle next to the children's names or the round circle next to the actual date itself. So if I just click on the children, they'll be highlighted in orange, and then all we then do is click on Save and OK. Now all the children should now appear in the registers that we've selected, but if you can't see them, just refresh before you go into the registers. If you want to check your free school meal details are up to date, firstly, I suggest looking at the free school meal report. So if we go to Reports, scroll down to the free school meal report and have a look to see if you can see them on this report. Okay. If you can see them on here, great. If you can't, if you're obviously using Sims, the free school meal data should come through automatically when your Sims link updates. But for any other MIS system, you'll need to add them in yourselves. So to add them in, we go into the admin section. We go down to students. We find the child that we want to set up for free school meals. We tick the free school meal box. And then add in the entitlement start and end dates. And then press save. Okay, and that will update their free school meal status. When you need to make a refund, this can be done in two separate ways. One being through the Payments tab and the other being through the Cashier tab. So the first way, which is via the Payments tab, I'll go through that with you first of all. So if I go to the Payments tab, I'm going to double click into an existing payment. And then what you can do is select the child. So their name is highlighted in grey. And then we click on Manage Payments. And then you'll see all the different payments that they've paid and how they've been paid. Okay. So next to this drop down where it's got action, there'll be an option in here which is Make Refund. You can see the payment method. You can change the amount that you'd like to refund back. You can add in any additional information if you need to, and then you press Refund. And then press OK. Okay, and that's been refunded. The second way is through the Cashier tab. So if I go back to the Cashier tab, find Jacob, select the payments on the left-hand side. If you can't see the payment on the left-hand side, just make sure you change the view to see paid collected items if it's been fully paid. Okay, but I'm going to select the same payment, and on the right-hand side where we've got the drop-down, again we choose Make Refund. We choose their refund method, which is already there, the amount that we'd like to refund back, again add in any additional notes, and then press Refund. Okay. If the money is in credit, you'll see that in this section over here where it's got Parent in Credit By. So if I click on the credit amount, we then need to click on the actual amount we'd like to make a refund for. So it's highlighted in grey. And again, we choose Refund and the same steps as before. You choose the refund method, the amount you'd like to refund back, and again, any additional notes, and then you press Refund. When making a refund, please note you will need to refund the parent back in the same way that they've initially paid you. So if it was an online transaction, this will go back onto the same card the parent originally used to make the payment. If you select cash check method, then you will need to give the parent the cash back yourself or write them a check. If the parent paid by PayPoint, again, the refund would need to be given back to the parent by cash or check. With regards to credit being used for future payments, instead of using the refund option from the drop-down, you can use transfer to credit. It will show you how much you'd like to transfer, and then you can press save. That credit will then appear in the parenting credit by section. You can then select a different payment on the left-hand side and then choose the action drop-down and choose pay by credit to allocate the payment to the other payment. So it's already defaulted as £30 here. I can press OK, and that money has now moved across to the Chester Zoo payment. With dinner and clubs, when you remove a meal or a booking, this money will automatically go into credit and can be used for future meals or bookings. If you do decide to move credit between different payments, please note the money is only moving on the system, and if you have got different bank accounts for these payments, then you will also need to physically move the money between the accounts yourself. It's not going to move physically itself. You have to do that yourself as well. If you would like to add an additional parent onto the system, we can do that in the admin section. We go down to additional parents. This has to be done manually on the system because the MIS updates will only pull across the priority one parent for the child. Okay, so all we need to do is click on add in the bottom right-hand corner, find the child that we'd like to link to the second parent, and then add in that parent's email address, phone number, first name, last name, and then press save. Okay. And if the parent has got more than one child, you would need to do that for each child they want to be linked to. Once they're in this section, you will also need to send that parent a welcome message. So to do that, we go back into admin, students, we find the child that we want to send the welcome message for. So if I go to Richard, tick him, and then it's action in the bottom left, send welcome message. We need to tick the include additional parents tick box, and then you'll see both parents. And then if you need to, you can untick the primary contact so the message only goes to the second contact. And then you just press send reminders. Okay. If you need to send a password reset message, again, we can do this in this same section, admin students. And all we do is tick the child, and you can tick more than one if you want to. And then it's action in the bottom left, send reset password message. And then once you press OK, you'll get a message to send the message out to the parents, and you just press send reset message. If you would like to send an app message, that can be done via the report section. So if I go to reports, scroll down to app users, select the children that you'd like to send the app message to, and then it's send app message in the bottom right. And once you're happy, just click on send reminders. If you don't already have the app, you can contact our support team if you need to get this activated. Okay. If you would like to set up additional groups on SchoolMoney to help you when filtering the registers, producing reports for certain groups, for example, you may need a Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2 group for your dinner numbers, or a Breakfast Club group for your registers. You can do this in the admin section too. So if I go back to admin, go down to groups, and to add a group in, we click on add in the bottom right-hand corner. We give the group a name, and then we find the children that we want to add into that group. So if I call this Key Stage 1, we can use this drop down if I just want to find the children in Year 1, Year 2. And once you're happy, you just press save. Okay. If you need to make a change to an existing group, you just double click on the group, remove anybody that you don't need in that group, and add anybody else in that you need to include in this group. Groups are a manual process, so it is good practice to keep them up to date all the time. And like I said, that's all you need to do is just remove anybody that you don't need and add anybody new into the group, and then you press save. Okay, so that actually concludes today's webinar. I hope you found it beneficial. We will leave the session open for a short while to go through any questions that you may have that may not have been answered. So we've had a question, does it link with SIMS pre-admission for new joiners? The only children that will come through from SIMS are the ones that are actually on SIMS. So with pre-admissions, they won't actually come through, but they can be added into SchoolMoney manually in the admin section. You can add them in as a visitor. I've had another question as well about setting up a weekly register for payments for children who want to use the transport for a minibus. If you need to have any new registers set up, that's something that we can do for you. So if you get in contact with our support team, and we can get that arranged for you. So all we'll need to know from yourself is the cost per session or per day, and which children you want to include in that register, and then we can get that set up for you. Hi, so we've had another question as well about a club setup with a mixture of free school meal children and non-free school meal children. So what we may need to do is set up a separate register for you, and there's a feature that we can switch on which is called Enable Reservation, which will allow free school meal children to be able to book online without having to pay for it. So again, if you would like to have that register set up, then get in contact with our support team and we can get that set up for you. So another question on here is about setting up a visitor on the system. So if I go back into admin, I'll show you how to do this. What you need to do is in admin, if you go down to students, click on add in the bottom right hand corner, you add in the first name, surname of that child or the person who's a visitor. And then from the year group and form drop down, you select it as a visitor. Admission status on roll, and then you just fill out the rest of the information, so the mobile number and email address, and then you would just press save. So all you're doing is changing the year group and the form to visitor, but adding in the information for that, for that person, and just making sure the admission status is on roll before you save it. Okay, so I've got another question here about a parent has paid for meals, but they were entitled to free school meals. So you should be able to backdate the free school meals. So as long as that child is showing as a free school meal child on the system, if they were initially charged for the dinner, what you'll need to do is on the dinner register, backdate it. So let me have a look if there's any. So by backdating it, what you'll need to do is remove the paid dinner. So there'll be a green box in the register. So you remove the dinner so it goes back to a white box and you save the register. And then as long as you've marked that child as free school meals in the admin section, when you come back into the register, you can then mark the register again and it will give them a blue box. And once you've saved it, that will remove their arrears. And you can backdate it just by changing the date in the register and going back as long as you need to. So with regards to new intake coming through from SIMS, as long as you run the update, they will automatically come through into SchoolMoney and you'll see them in the admin student section. But you'll need to add them into your register yourself. They don't automatically get included in your registers. So that's what I showed you earlier about going into the register manager and adding the children into the actual weeks that you've already created. Okay. So hopefully that answers most of the questions. But like I said earlier, if there's any questions that we have missed out, we'll email you individually just to answer your questions. Also, just to point out as well, there will be a quick survey for you to complete once you leave the webinar, which will help us gather your feedback and maybe even suggestions for future webinar topics. If you do have time as well, on Tuesday the 9th at 11 a.m, my colleague Ria will be hosting a cashless catering webinar. So if you can, please also do join that as well. Thank you so much for your time today.